What a beautiful ball. Now it's Cristiano Ronaldo with a chance maybe to seal it, and he has taken it. Lahm in all kinds of space. Lahm, Muller through Muller, could be embarrassing. It's three. Tony Kroos. Olivier Giroud. Barkley's found Klein with a speedy burst, and that's terrific from Vardy. Oh, what a goal by Jamie Vardy.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to #TFHP Euros. It's the Football Hipsters podcast coming to you for the final time in the quarter-finals. I am your host, Kris, and tonight I am joined by, first up, I have got Ross. Hello, Ross.
Good evening.
Good evening to you, and I've also got Tom. Good evening, Tom.
What's up?
Right, much to discuss this evening, given obviously we've had just the one quarter-final completing the lineups for tonight, and it was quite a game, I think it's fair to say. France prevailing with a 5-2 victory over Iceland in the probably what was the standout performance of the tournament so far, which we'll come on to. And let's just get some initial thoughts. Ross, what did you make of the game? As we speak, there's a live goal for ASA, which I haven't turned my sound effects off for. Ever the professional. But it does, doesn't it? It's the last thing I forgot to turn off. Anyway, we won't edit this out. We'll leave it just to prove we're human. Anyway, Ross, France, Iceland. What did you make of the game, and were you quite impressed with the French?
Kind of. Drew made this point in our WhatsApp group that this Iceland side, I think if I remember rightly anyway, is the same starting 11 that's played through all of the games in this tournament so far. They've also got 8 players, did he say, that are on yellow cards, or some hideously high number. And France obviously came to play. They made a few substitutions and rotations for this game. And to me, it looked very much like a team in Iceland that had kind of run their course. You know, a team that didn't exactly think they were going out, but a team that as soon as the first goal went in, thought, this could be it. Because for so long now they've been playing like they're playing in other people's bodies, and today it looked like they finally just couldn't hack it anymore, like the legs had gone. And France exploited it brilliantly. The front four were all fantastic today for France. They did so well to work between the lines and turn players around on themselves. So great credit has to go to France for the way they played. But I do get the feeling that this Iceland side made it a bit too easy for them.
I think that's fair. I think it's a very, very fair point, and how you make it. Tom, what did you think? I mean, again, that sort of free-flowing style that we were hoping to see from a team has finally clicked into gear with France. We will touch on Iceland and their tiredness in a minute, because I think that's a key point. But were you quite impressed with what you saw tonight?
Yeah, I think it was impressed. I think we're trying to see finally what France's proper team should line up as in terms of an attacking sense. Obviously, they tried different things, the likes of their starting lineups. But playing Griezmann off Giroud for me is the best thing that France can do to go out and try and win matches. I mean, the two are just working in perfect sync. You've got Griezmann's pace and finishing, and the adept skill that he has on the ball. And when you combine that with Giroud's physicality and hold-up play and ability to flip the ball on, and at the same time also can finish himself when he's had enough chances, you've got a deadly combination. So those two are particularly impressive. I think Giroud scored 2 and got 1 assist, and Griezmann got 1 and assisted 2 others. So you can just see the stats show how good they were. I am still iffy about France's defence. I thought they were open many times. You made the point in our chat that obviously some City's debut is under a lot of pressure, and you can expect that. But I think that's probably the reason why we've seen Rami play as much as we have, even though we might have expected the others to come in. Because while he can be a bit erratic and make some mistakes, he is solid at times, and he will bring some consistency to the side that when you haven't got Varane and the like in the squad because they were injured, he'll bring that to the team. In terms of Iceland, though, we'll go into the tiredness factor, so I won't spend long on that. But for me, I think they were just too open today. I think that the plan that they had against England didn't really come into effect in the game. Obviously, they couldn't get the initial goal back straight away once France had scored in the same way, and France really locked them out when they needed to, and got the goals to kill the game off as quickly as possible. So I think that's how they nullified Iceland, and they'll progress with a good win under their belt.
Some good points are made, and Ross, we will just sort of segue into that Iceland tiredness factor and all that goes with it. I mean, we were sort of waxing lyrical, and we will wax lyrical. God, I can't speak tonight. Terrible, isn't it? We will wax lyrical about France in a minute, but just for Iceland as a whole, we've touched on previous pods about how much of an incredible sort of run they've had and a rise to fame they've had. But do you think the legs finally told tonight? It's an unchanged lineup. It's their 5th game in a row. They just looked a bit tired, didn't they?
Yes, like I say, for the most part of this tournament, you would have looked at Iceland and said that every player in that team was playing like they were in someone else's body. And I think tonight it just didn't look the same. They didn't seem that unity. They didn't seem that belief in the running and the movement. There didn't seem that much organisation in the back line. It did just look like mental and physical fatigue had taken over. And like I say, we'll talk about France in a minute, but they exploited that absolutely perfectly. But for me, Iceland made it far too easy. It's just the natural strain of being in this tournament for so long, I think.
Yeah, it certainly has caught up. But nevertheless, again, we should just give them a sort of a gentle salute and say well done to Iceland, because they have been absolutely fantastic. Tom, you've got a stat on Iceland as well.
Yeah, just the fact that a lot's been made about their population and the likelihood of what you could be if you're an Icelandic person and play for the squad. But the Observer actually did a piece and they ran down the actual statistics of the population. So there's just over 300,000 citizens. But if you subtract the women and the men over 35, the men under 18, the people that are busy in Wales sightseeing industry, the volcano surveillance people who work in the hospitals, police and fire department, people that are sick and ill at this moment, and the fans in the stadium, plus the massage therapist and the water carrier, there is literally 23 people left. And that is the Icelandic football team. So it is incredible when you think of it that way. And obviously the coach is Swedish, so he can count. So it is amazing how they've clammed this squad together and gotten it to a quarterfinals in the European Championships. I mean, we talk about Wales and it's an amazing achievement, but they do have Bale and they do have Ramsey and they have quality players on the side that play in the Premier League. This Iceland squad is unbelievable what they've done. It's hard to, when you compare it to domestic football, the likes of what Leicester have done in the Premier League, but when you think about it, this Iceland team have really tried to emulate that as best they can, and it's an achievement that will go down in the European Championship history.
Yeah, I agree. Wales and Iceland will certainly be the two that of all the teams at this tournament will be remembered in the highlights packages for sure. Let's move on to France then, and Ross, as I said, we spoke about how impressive they were at times, and I'm very keen to make sure that they do get some credit here, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's only Iceland. Well, that didn't do so well for England and others, it has to be said. So France's movement in particular, I want to just sort of touch on. Tom touched on it there. Griezmann and Giroud's kind of link up was superb. The Pogba-Matuidi access really did come to the fore today. And their pressure to win that ball from the very first whistle, I thought was key today. So, what did you make of their sort of attacking prowess and that movement in the final third as well?
It was very impressive. Yeah, I think Giroud. It was almost like he played his perfect game today with these perfect runners all around him, because Payet, Griezmann, Sissoko, they all worked so well around him, especially Griezmann behind him. Frankly, though, I think this is more of a question for you, really, Kris, because you're such a big fan of the French national team and some of these players as well. Matuidi and Pogba finally getting to start in a midfield two in this tournament and looking quite settled. It's also off Tom, really, because of how well Griezmann's doing. The only one I can really pick out here is Payet, and I don't think Payet had his best game for France, realistically. He just had so much room. He's just able to work around these players so much easier than he might do in the Premier League. So yeah, it was very, very impressive. But I think realistically speaking, this is really one for you and Tom.
Fair enough. Well, I'll take one and I'll give Tom the other. With regards to the sort of the midfield access, I thought Sissoko was sort of, he's come in and been a bit of a revelation. I don't think people really expected him to be, but particularly the Matuidi Pogba thing. That has, I think it's just made that balance right, and that's the key thing, because as Tom will touch on in a second, when you're releasing those sort of two to play off each other up front, you need to have those drop back options, and the thing that Pogba does so well, obviously, is he's such a good athlete and he transitions the ball, and Matuidi can just do that quiet patrolling job, win it, give it simple. But I do think his range of passing is that little bit better than the other options that France have got in that position, and he's such a powerful player, and I think that frees up Pogba to do what he's good at. That being said, again, we have to say, against a better opposition, will they have as much time, as much freedom? I guess we're going to see against Germany. But Tom, that sort of thing you were saying about with Griezmann playing off of Giroud, it frees up Payet definitely, and it also just gives France that different dimension, doesn't it? And the freedom to know that if Giroud wins that first ball, he's always got that runner in behind him.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, when the tournament started, it was all down to whether if Griezmann would be the most important player, to be fair, where his position would be, and obviously started out on the wing, and now today we've seen him start just playing off Giroud, and that's, for me, as I've already mentioned on this pod, how important it is for France going forward that needs to stick the way it has, even if Kante comes back in or whether it's a suspension and whoever he goes without. To be honest, I'd keep it how it is and probably bring back Rami in. But obviously, I'm very much involved with Arsenal social media, and a lot of fans have been saying, Arsenal should break the bank for Griezmann. If Atletico have any sense, obviously losing Torres at the end of his deal, they should go after Giroud. And it's painful to say that myself, but those two together, it's such a deadly combination, and especially one that could work in La Liga, to be fair as well. But go against Germany, obviously the defence is not going to be as their best aspect of their team, and when you've got the likes of Griezmann who can run off it, he can put pressure on the young Kimmich, and which is going to be really an area which they can target. Hector's been decent for, I think, this tournament, but he's also another area you could target as well. So it's going to be so interesting to see how the lineups react when they play each other in the semis, and especially France's defence is another area questionable area. So it's going to be an incredible matchup, and to be honest, I can't call it from this point.
No, it is. It's definitely tough to call, as you rightly say. And Ross, just looking at that sort of, obviously, you say hand over the question to us. By all means, feel free. But looking at what France have got to do, because we've said on this pod several times, no matter what lineup or what system, they didn't really impress. If they play like they did against Germany, do you think that's going to be enough? Because there were defensive worries. 2 goals from set pieces in particular will be a big X in a box next to it. So how do you think France need to adapt how they've done well today and take it on to Germany?
It's tough because Germany are just such a different beast. I would agree that Umtiti needs to be dropped from the back line, although he had a very interesting game, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on it in a minute about Umtiti. But I think Matuidi probably does have to be dropped because you do need a bit more certainty and patience against Germany. So I imagine Kante will come back in. Aside from that, there's not really a great deal in that I'd change. You'd want a bit more defensive assurance, which would bring in Rami and Kante, but as long as you're patient and you can find gaps and you can get those front four moving as sweetly as they were at times tonight, it's difficult to see what you'd really change. You just need to be a bit more patient and a bit more clever, because Germany haven't exactly lit the tournament like this up to this point, but they're still miles better than this Iceland side were. So it's very, very tricky. But if I was going into the next game myself, I would make 2 changes, keep everything else as good as it possibly was today, and just see what you can get out of them.
I think just on your points there, just to touch on both, for me, Umtiti, I do think is, I'm a big fan, I'm a massive fan. I think he will do really good things in his future career, and I think he'll fit Barcelona's style very well. He's a ball-playing centre-back with good pace, and he's a very good athlete, and I think he'll do really, really well there tonight. I think he did look every bit a player making a debut at international level, and I do think he was caught out a little bit. That said, you've got 2 left-sided centre-backs playing together. Koscielny was obviously playing on the wrong side today. That didn't help. But for me, I do agree. I think Rami probably comes back in just on the strength that he's played most of the tournament, and that alone. And I'll slightly disagree with you. For me, I don't go anywhere near Kante in this game for the Germany game. I really think that Matuidi Pogba axis works well. The only thing I would say is that you have to have to make sure that the likes of Payet and Griezmann are working back, because if you don't, and you just allow them to freefall what they did today, I think Germany will just completely do them in midfield with the likes of Ozil and Kroos all over them. So I wouldn't change the lineup other than that centre back partnership. I would leave everything exactly as it is. And the argument of whether you play Sissoko from the start or not, that's probably the biggest dilemma that they've got, is whether you keep Sissoko with Matuidi and Pogba, or whether you look to sort of change it up completely differently. But no, I personally wouldn't have Kante back in right now. But it'll be interesting to see.
I'm not going to contest you on that point. One thing I will say about Titi, though, I don't know if Tom would agree with me, but I think he did look a bit shaky tonight as well, as Kris has just said. But the stats from Umtiti's game tonight: 100% pass accuracy, 75 out of 75, 7 clearances and 3 interceptions. So was he really that bad tonight?
Go on, Tom.
To me, yeah. No, I think I am one person you can throw stats at, and I will back them to the hilt. But I just felt that he didn't look comfortable. I mean, and arguably people have made points to me when I've brought up stats and said that they don't show the whole deal. They don't describe the action of what took place to make those passes, to make those clearances and interceptions. And the sense that you got from the match was that he just didn't seem confident in the pitch. He's not the tallest of centre backs, and against a physical side like Iceland, he looked slightly out of place when balls were put over the top and whatnot. So I think that what Rami gives you is more physicality against the Germans, although what you could argue is that with Mario Gomez not being in that squad anymore, and the likelihood that we could see Goetze come in or see Muller go up top, we're not sure yet, and they might play a more technical game than they would if Gomez was up top, that it could work out playing Umtiti in that squad. I just think with Rami you get a bit more leadership-wise and physicality that Umtiti, the main point what you put out was, did he have a great game? I think Rami would take that uncertainty out of the centre-backs and you get more consistency from it.
I think long term, if you look at that French lineup, don't forget Lankashoni is 29 now. I think long term, Raphael Varane and Umtiti are probably the two that France will build around, and the fact that they've got two very aging fullbacks as well. This tournament is probably going to be the last you'll see with the current French defence as it is, and I think long term, and the thing is as well with Umtiti is he's a very, very good ball playing centre back, as your stats would say there, Ross, and he'll only get better at that under a Barcelona system. So I think he will develop, and I think also what you've seen with Varane, some people overrate him, some people underrate him. It's a bit of a mixed subject, but as a footballer, he's come on at Real Madrid massively, and I think that's where you'll probably see that partnership will be blended. But it just shows you that sometimes you can watch a game and think somebody's been a little bit nervy, and the stats have been fine. So
it's very interesting. I was so thrown off when I saw those stats, because I would have agreed with Tom. I would have said he had a very shaky game, but yeah, I mean those stats are very impressive for a debutant, especially in a tournament situation. So yeah, it was very, very interesting to see him TT tonight.
I think he was good. I just think I do agree with Tom. I just think I just thought at times against a better side there might have been a few more problems. But yeah, I do agree that he wasn't as bad as some might have thought. Let's just touch on Olivier Giroud between us all, because obviously Tom, you can give us a slightly biased point of view, and Ross, you can give us a slightly unbiased point of view. Tom, I'll start with you. Obviously, from an Arsenal perspective, a lot of their fans are very critical of Giroud. The French public have been pretty critical of Giroud. But when he does the things he does well, there's not many better in that role, surely.
No, not in this day and age. When you consider the strikers that are out there, he's quite unique in a way, and probably in the top tier of strikers of his type. I mean, the way he took his first goal, hitting it on the half volley, was such an assured strike of the ball, and the finish between Hal Dawson's legs was excellent. And he can do that. I mean, he gets his movement so good that he gets himself in so much space where you just assume that he's offside and he's through on goal, and that's where he got his first goal from. And obviously the second goal was just trademark. Ball comes over the top and he flicks in a header, which he's done several times at Arsenal. It does bother me how people underrate the bloke. And I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of the Arsenal side of things, but I just think people moan that he was called up the squad over the likes of Lacazette and obviously Benzema, but he just brings that different dynamic to the squad, which they haven't really had in a striker for many years. And I mean, when you're going up against teams like Iceland in the tournament, obviously they had Albania and Romania in their group. You want an old-fashioned striker who's going to get you goals when you need them, and he is that. And if there's anyone that should face criticism in the striking department at France, it's Gignac, because he's come in. And when he's come on the pitch, no chance, he hasn't taken it whatsoever. And you're just thinking, if France are in a game and they're losing and they need someone to come on, you'd much rather have someone like Alexander Lacazette coming on than Gignac coming on, because I don't see what extra he would bring that Giroud doesn't already have.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think Gignac's very, very lucky to be. He's had a great season in Mexico. Don't take that away from him. But I personally agree. Lacazette is the obvious one, but even Kevin Gamero, which you know well would be a better option as a substitute. Ross, what did you make of Giroud, though? I mean, you've watched Graziano Pella play a lot for Southampton, who's a very similar type of forward in that he does like to provide that intricate little bit of skill to get himself a sort of a flick in towards goal or pull off the defender. I mean, do you sort of see the similarities, and do you think Giroud is quite underappreciated in this French side?
Yeah, I was going to mention Pella before you mentioned him, because they are so similar. Realistically speaking, I think it's a problem with his type of position anyway. You know, the target men, generally speaking, get decried if it's not on national level, then it's at local level, because Andy Carroll gets slammed whenever he plays for England, but he's very much a same kind of player. He's not got the tricks and skills that Giroud and Pella do on occasion, but you know, he's still a lump it long, and he can get you some headers. He'll stay brave. He'll try and do knockdowns. He likes runners. You know, I remember when Ricky Lambert, when he was in his heyday, there were still criticisms of him here. I mean, admittedly, in Southampton, we all absolutely love him, so they're a bit more mitigated. But on the international stage, if it wasn't for the fact he was just such a nice guy, he would have got a lot more criticism than he did. And you can even go even further back and look at players like Emil Heskey, the old target men that will just bulldoze people and knock them around and get the knockdowns that won't score you as many. It's always been a bit of an unglamorous job, and Giroud now gets more stick because as the game has developed, they now need to have these tricks and flicks. It's the modern game. When he gets them wrong, obviously people absolutely loathe him for it. Same with Graziano Pella. But when he has a game like he does today, he's absolutely integral to the way this French front four moves, and in the end scores 5 goals. So you know, it's a difficult one, but I think it's just generally the job he fills isn't glamorous anymore, and for people like us, I think it's great to see players like Giroud and Pella working on it and doing the job well. But for the man in the street, yeah, Giroud's position is a bit discomforting in the modern age when we all want to see pace and goals and flair. So yeah, I mean, there's many problems with his position, but I don't think it's particularly isolated to just Giroud.
No, I agree with that. That it's the fashionable striker thing, isn't it? If you haven't got pace and a funky haircut, you don't necessarily sort of look fashionable enough to play in a team, and I completely agree with that point. And I do also want to mention something that probably went slightly underappreciated. That's Hugo Lloris save from point blank range from the header. That was also very, very impressive, has to be said. And he will probably not get much credit for that, but I thought it was a stunning save. But nevertheless, the French are through, and on a Football Hipsters first, we've got a run-in. He snuck in through the back door, and after his boys exited the competition last night, it'd be unfair not to get John on and mock him slightly. So evening, John.
Good evening.
All right. Well, what was your? We're about to preview the semi-finals in a moment, but do you want to just give us your sort of thoughts as a neutral on the French game this evening?
Yeah, I thought France were very good, particularly in their movement up front. I thought Iceland, they did what they'd done throughout the tournament. They battled well when they could. They kept going despite, even when it was 5-1, they still kept going, trying to get goals and trying to still play, trying to stick to the game plan that they had throughout the tournament. It just felt like it was a game too far for them. I think they'd used the same 11 for pretty much every match. They looked very tired. They'll be really, really pleased. But for France, they needed that performance. The one worry I thought for them from the game was, despite the fact that's the worst Iceland have played, They still caused them problems at the back, and I know it was the back four was slightly changed. Obviously, Umtiti came in, who I don't think had a particularly good game. He got better as the game went on, and then obviously Koscielny came off to prevent getting a second yellow to which would have seen him out of the semi-final, which obviously disrupted the defence a bit. But I think that's still a worry going into a game against a much tougher opponent in Germany. Although they do have the benefit, obviously, of Mario Gomez being out for that game. So, overall, deserved win for France. I felt 5-2 was maybe a little bit generous because I think Iceland probably could have scored one or two more, to be honest, if it wasn't for, as you said, just before I came in, talking about Hugo Lloris, made some good saves in that. So perhaps a little bit closer than the scoreline said, but definitely the right team that went through.
Yeah, we completely agree. We touched on MTT as well, and Ross gave us some quite extraordinary stats that prove that we're all talking rubbish. So that's good to know. But I think we've all come to the same conclusion that it's good to see the hosts properly turn up now and really sort of announce their arrival on this tournament. So right, let's just get our hipster's choice of the day from you all, and then we'll have a look at these semi-finals between us. So let's start with you, John. Just while you're here, is there a player that stood out for you in that game tonight, particularly?
It's hard to pick because a lot of the French boys did very well tonight. But for me, I thought it was Griezmann again. I think he's done better and better as the tournament's gone on. And again tonight, you saw when he was played in behind Giroud, what he can really do and what he offers off the ball. So yeah, I thought he was fantastic tonight.
Good show. Tom, have you got one for us?
I think it has to be Griezmann. I can't get. Obviously, sure, I had a great game. But for me, the movement that the Griezmann brought is what France have been crying out for to win them the big games, and he'll be crucial against Germany. And today he was unplayable, and the goal he scored was an excellent finish, which he makes look so easy, but it's really not because I've tried it and I can't do it. So it must be hard. No, he's an excellent player, and I thought today he was the best man on the pitch.
The little dink, you've got to love it. And Ross, who was yours?
89% pass accuracy, 5 chances created, 2 shots, 2 assists, and a goal. Griezmann.
I thought you were going to say Robbie Keane or something there. No, I think you're right. Yes, I can't disagree with any of that. I thought he was.
You're not allowed to. We all picked the same player.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I can't disagree with it. But no, I'm with you. I would again give a nod to Giroud for sort of his unselfish play, and I actually did think Pogba was pretty good for periods tonight. Like his maturity came through tonight, which was interesting given what he turned up wearing, which was very odd. But he stepped up tonight, I thought, as a player that was trying to make a bit of an impression, and his partnership with Matuidi is cunning. So I think we'll go with Antoine, but a little nod to the others as well. Right, so that's the final game of our quarterfinals. So we now know what our semi-finals are. We've got Portugal against Wales, which I believe is the Wednesday game, and we've got France Germany. Now, let's start with the Welsh game and Portugal. Does anyone want to step up and say Wales are going to win this first of all?
Yeah,
go on.
I will as well.
Go on then. Go on, Ross. Let's hear your reasons why.
Because this Portugal side have been weak all the way through this tournament. I don't think they've been anywhere near as good as they should be. They go through large periods of the game looking like they're going to get knocked out and somehow slip through. And then Wales play like they know they're going into the next round already. They're fighting for every second ball. They're winning every second ball. They're taking their opportunities when they come. They are not relying on their star man. I know they're going to have to rotate, but I just can't see it being any other side than Wales.
I like your confidence, John. Do you want to back Ross or dispute that?
I mean, I think he's hit the nail on the head. Just that Wales team will want it more than Portugal. They haven't performed. They haven't won a game in 90 minutes. I think Pepe's had one good game. Other than that, their defence hasn't looked convincing. I think they're weak to the counter-attack. And I think just Wales will even if they have to do backs to the wall for 90 minutes and get one goal on the counter. That team just wants it more. Can't see anything else.
Like it. Tom, have you got, in the interest of fairness, have you got an argument that says Portugal will win this game?
Yeah, I disagree, and I think Portugal are going to win. I think a lot of factors comes in for the fact that Wales will be missing Ramsey and Davis, who have been excellent for them. Davis playing centre back is something I never thought I'd see, and he's taken that role brilliantly. I disagree with John slightly on Pepe. I thought Pepe played excellently against Croatia as well. Kept them out brilliantly, and I think he'll be key against Wales to stop Bale. Obviously, they're teammates, so they'll know all about each other. I think that it's with Ronaldo. It comes to a point where he just hasn't lit up the way others than the 2 goals he scored against Hungary, where it's too good of a player not to light up at some point. And I think he'll take confidence from winning that penalty shootout and being a leader for once in his life and taking the first penalty and taking responsibility upon himself to do that. And that win will boost him amazingly. And knowing that he has the chance to take his team to a final and win something with his country, which has been his dream for his entire career, I would hope would push him on to do that. That's not me saying I want Portugal to win. I'd quite like to see Wales get to the final. I just think that throughout the squad, with Ramsey and Davis out, Portugal now have a much bigger quality difference in terms of individuals. Whether that's team is another argument. But I think that with now Renato Sanchez also showing that he stepped up in their quarterfinal, that they have quality other than Ronaldo, and I think they can for once win a game in 90 minutes and push to the final.
Yeah, but you all make compelling arguments. I'm going to sit squarely on the fence and say my heart says Wales, my head says Portugal. I actually think of the 2 games, this one might be the more open of the 2. Just for sort of reasons, I think both teams have to go for it. Essentially, Wales without Ramsey is going to be difficult, from a build-up perspective, and Portugal 2 wingers up front still look a bit unconvincing, not great at the back. I just think I can see goals in this game. So should be a decent match. I hope Wales. I've got to be honest. We're probably a bit biased, but I do hope Wales. But we shall see.
I'm calling it right now. Ronaldo gives a free kick away. Stupid foul. Bale
scores it. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
It would, just for the tantrum that would ensue afterwards. What do we reckon about the Donkey Kong of the semi-final saying? Because this is probably the big one, isn't it? France, Germany. Germany have got a good record against France in recent times. I think they're 3-1 over the last 4 games. Tom, let's start with you. Do you see this being? I see this as tight. I know there's a lot of attacking flair on both sides, but I just get the feeling we might be getting another Germany-Italy in this game.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw in the Italy game was that, or even in the Italy-Spain game, is that Italy come forward and they have attacked, and they attacked in the Germany game at times as well. Obviously not in the way they did against Spain, but they have attacking talent, and I think that they will try, and they'll know that they cannot just sit and defend the France just for Germany's instant attacks. They know that that's not their strong suit, and they'll try and attack as well. But Germany's defence is better than France's, even though there are issues. But I don't think there'll be a massive goals. I think it will be cagey. I think that France can nick it with the home advantage, and that will push them on to do that. But Germany's experience and knowledge of the game and just calmness in situations could see them through. I'm not going to call it either. I'm going to do a U and sit on the fence. I think it's going to could be what it has the potential to be the game of the tournament in a tactical sense. Maybe not in entertainment value, but if like tips on how to play the game, you might see brilliant examples of it in this match.
Going to be tight. John, do you share our views on the tightness? Sounds a little bit dodgy, but do you think that this will be a tactical affair, or do you think we're talking rubbish and it will just be a complete sort of free-for-all?
I don't think it'll be a free-for-all. Yeah, it'll be tight, but honestly, I think Germany have got too much for France. You'll be pleased to know, though, Kris, obviously all of my predictions have been horribly wrong, so that's one
Happy
good thing
days.
for you in that favour. But no, I think for both teams who've got problems at the back, they can both be got at. I think, like Tom said, I think Germany's defence is slightly better. I think they have the better goalkeeper as well. Their weakness is the not really having that midfielder who sits, especially now with Khedira out. But I just think that they can, if they want to, just completely control the tempo of the game with players like Kroos and Ozil, Draxler. They've just got so much talent there. I assume Thomas Muller will probably be the striker, perhaps, for the game. They can play Mario Götze as obviously as the false nine. They've got lots of other players there. I just think they've got too much for France that they'll be able to pull them about a bit. and France will be expected. The pressure will be all on them as the home nation to go out there and do the performance, especially after the way that they played tonight. The people in France have been waiting for a real performance, and they got one tonight, but it was against Iceland. They want to see it against one of the big boys. So I think the pressure will just be too much, and I just think Germany have got too much quality. So yeah, Germany in 90 minutes for me.
Interesting. And Ross, are you going to blow us up the war and say it'll be an 8-0 thrashing for one or the other, or how do you see this going?
I would have said Germany in 90 minutes before Gomez and Khedira dropped out. I think it's going to be much tougher now. I still think it will be Germany, but I can see this going to penalties myself. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised by any result. It's like I said the other day about the Germany-Italy game. No result would really surprise me unless it's an absolute whitewash like Germany-Brazil was back in the last World Cup. But it's I think it's got considerably tighter now that Gomez is out. But I still personally think that Germany will just have enough.
I'm going to go France on penalties, which I know is controversial.
What a shocker!
I suppose it's slightly biased, but I just when you get these sort of runs of teams that they've gone on this amazing run, and all of a sudden it comes to an end. Germany have got this amazing run of victories on penalties, and I don't know why. I just get this feeling that might come to an end in this game. I can't call a winner between them, so
it's called bias.
Probably, but. I'm sticking with it, and I'm hoping for the best, and that's why.
Kris, who wins a Wales-France final?
Oh, see, now that is tough, because that's a proper clash of styles, isn't it? I won't commit. What I will say is that I don't fancy France's defence with Bale, so I'll just leave that one there. I'll leave that one floating in the wind. Actually, in a weird way, I think Wales would be a harder opponent than Portugal for either team. Actually, for Germany or France, I just think Wales they're just riding this crest of a wave, aren't they? Whereas Portugal, to me, defensively, I think you'll get chances. Wales, however, I'm not sure you'll get many. What a dilemma, eh? What a dilemma. Well, we will be across it, of course. We've only got 3 games to go. We have found out there isn't a third, fourth place playoff. We had to do some digging to find out about that, but apparently there isn't one, so there's one less game to cover. So I will just get some final thoughts from you all then, and I'm actually gonna ask you to give me your sort of player of the second stage so far. I know I've dropped that on you all of a sudden, but I'm sure you've all got somebody that's particularly impressed you. So I'm just going to do a quick loop around the circuit, and this is the player that's most impressed you since the game has turned into the knockout phase. So 2 rounds essentially. Ross, I'll start with you. Go in reverse order. Anyone you like.
I honestly don't. My favourite player of this tournament so far has been Lovrencic from Hungary, but I can't say him because he went out in the last 8. I suppose I'd have to say someone from Wales, and I think I would go with Kris Gunter, who I picked out as my hipster a few weeks back now, but I think he's been absolutely fantastic, especially in a wing back position. So. Probably Kris Gunter, but I'm sure that the other 2 guys, now they've got more time to think about it, are going to come out with names that are maybe going to go, oh, yeah, obviously. But, yeah, I think just Gunter for me.
You've got the Gunter love. There's nothing wrong with that. Tom, who would you pick out from this second stage quarterfinals?
My heart wants to say Griezmann, and probably a bit of my head as well because of his statistics. But I genuinely think that Pepe's was excellent in their quarterfinal game, and I thought he shut out Croatia brilliantly in their last 32 match as well. So I have to go with Pepe. For me, he's been defensively brilliant, and he's really cut out not 90%, like not 100% of all his antics, but I think he's behaved well, and that's been a reason that Portugal are where they are now and aren't out of the competition.
Interesting. And John, have you got one that stood out for you?
It's got to be Giaccherini for me. I'm surprised I went with an Italian.
No, I went with the same, so I'm with you. I went with you. Yeah.
For a man who could barely get a kick at Sunderland, just amazing the performances he put in for Italy. Obviously the goal was in the group stage, but yeah, just the distances he run, the passes he made, the link-up play, the runs he was making, just non-stop, unbelievable. Just that whole Italian team really did amaze me. So I could have picked anyone from it, honestly. And just for the crying at the end of the game, even though they went out, just the tears, Sorry, still gets to me now.
Oh, well enough. Bless him, Buffon's tears today as well. That was quite something. But the only other one I'd have thrown into the mix for me is Jonas Hector. I know we mentioned him last night for Germany, but he just strikes me as a kid who's got everything. Personally, I say kid. He's not really a kid anymore, is he? But I think he's been very, very good. Very, very good little player. And I'd be very surprised if he's at... I think he's at Cologne, isn't he, at the moment? I'd be very surprised if he's there next season. If he hasn't already agreed a deal somewhere else, because I'm getting completely lost for transfers right now. Thank God. Right, okay. Well, that's. I think that'll do us for tonight. That's a nice little episode out the way. And as I say, we know our semi-finalists. So by all means, if you've got some thoughts and you want to send them our way, please do drop us a tweet. We'll try and incorporate a few listener mentions or questions into the semi-final shows, because we might have a little bit more time to discuss things. So if you do have something you want to ask us or anything you want us to bring up within reason, we'll try and get that worked in. So drop us a tweet and we'll see what we can do for you. Appreciate the YouTube comments as well. I know a couple of you are getting involved on that and leaving us some comments, so that's very kind of you. And I know we haven't asked this for a little while, but if you have enjoyed what we've done over the Euros, and now it's actually working again, do leave us an iTunes review if you don't mind. If you can leave us a 5-star review if you like us, a 1-star review if you hate us. But if you hate us, maybe just don't leave a review. That'd be nice. But if you like us, leave us a 5-star review and just a short couple of lines about what you like about the pod. Because the more reviews we get on iTunes, the bigger our reach becomes. So that would be very much appreciated. Anywho, keep up your fantasy football teams as well. We'll give you an update on that before semi-final.
Way!
Yeah, I'm getting somewhere as well. I was 7th last night. My God.
You all mocked me, but here I come, late surge.
Late surge. John, do they get transfers at the end of this round? I don't know. Do we?
I think you get some more transfers yet. I think
so
you do, yeah.
Keep a lookout for that then, boys and girls. If you get some transfers, pick them
Left Neuer
wisely.
on the bench yesterday.
Tom is doing a carpenter. He's given up. He's done with this fantasy football. Anyway, that is it for us for tonight. So I just want to thank my my guests as always, Ross, Tom, and John. Thank you all, gentlemen.
Pleasure as ever.
Adios.
We'll be back after Wednesday's game next week. No idea who's on, but we're probably going to try and incorporate all of us if we can for these last few games. So keep it tuned, keep it locked, and as usual, keep your Satchel clean and your pipe stoked. And we'll be back for the semi-finals when Wales will roar again. Maybe. We'll speak to you soon.
A match winner. Is this the moment? It is. Divock Origi. There and now Killer. And they now have the breakthrough. Fail. It's a great effort.